For this project, we were required to create a C++ program that is able to calculate the grades and GPA of a student based on their scores in the required subjects. The required subjects are English, History, Math, Programming, and Science. The program will then prompt the user to enter their name, student ID, and also the scores for each subject. The scores must be within a 0 to 100 range. For the grades, it will be based on a grading scale, and from the grading scale, the program will then be able to calculate the GPA of a student. The program must be able to display each grade for each subject and also the GPA of the student. If the student gets less than 50 marks on any subject, the program will then prompt the user that he or she failed the subject and they are required to repeat the said subject. Not only that, the program must be able to handle an error appropriately. Furthermore, the program must be well organized, clean, and it's easy to read. As for the objective of this project, it is to develop our teamwork as a team and also our teamwork skills that is essential to our academic and also professional success. Through the completion of this project, we will be able to work in a team to analyze simple real-world problems, organize effective algorithmic solutions, and also create a computer program that is able to solve the problem. We should also demonstrate our communication skills by presenting the developed computer programs. Now, as for the objective of our program, we want to create a program that is easy to use for lecturers and also students. They will now be able to calculate the GPA by using the program that we have created. Not only that, the program will tell the students what subjects they failed and they need to repeat the subjects.
For the analysis phase, the table shown here is for the input, process, and output with their respective variable, data type, and formulas. For input, name, student ID, exit, and subject score count is for the users to enter their respective input. Next is process. Here are shown the variables, data type, and formulas to calculate the student's GPA. And for the output, this will prompt the students their GPA and grade for the respective subjects. If there is an error when user input incorrectly, it will prompt these messages letting them know to enter the input correctly. These are the errors messages. If the student failed some subject, it will prompt a message remarking that the student has failed the subject and required to be repeated. The program has ended will be prompted at the end of the program. That's all from the analysis phase.
Greetings I bid to Dr. Ong. My name is Emmanuel Shanmuganathan, and for this part of the program, this group project, I will be presenting about the pseudocode or the design phase of our program. Now, to start things off, this presentation will discuss a program that calculates the grades and GPA for a student based on the given pseudocode. Based on the pseudocode, the program starts by declaring variables such as subject name, subject grades, subject credit, student name, student ID, and more. After that, the program will prompt the user to enter their student name and student ID. After that, for each of the 5 subjects, that is English, Math, Science, History, and Programming, the user is asked to enter the student's score, and the score must be between 0 and 100. Now let's say if a student enters a score that's negative or over 100, the program will then prompt an error message that says it will be out of range, and the user will be asked to re-enter the score again until it is correct. Then after that, the program will then calculate the grade for each subject as well as the GPA using a function called grade and value check, and this is the pseudocode for said function. Now in this function, so if a score is above 90 or below 100, they will get an A+, and the value is a 4.0, Or if their score is over 80 and below 89, they will get a grade A and the value is also 4.0. All the way until the grade is F and the value is 0.0. And then after that, the program will then return the grade back to the main program. Now, moving on, the program also checks if the student has failed any subjects, and that is if they scored anything below 50. And it will also keep track of which subjects were failed. Finally, the program displays the student's ID, subject scores, grades, grade value, subject GPAs, and overall GPA. If the student has failed any subjects, the program also lists the subjects that they have failed and will be required to resit that subject for the next semester. The program then asks the user if they would like to continue entering scores for other students or if they would like to exit and end the program by pressing 1 or 0. That is all for me. Thank you for your attention.
Hello, my name is Muhammad Firdaus bin Jaini and I will be presenting to you the source code and also the sample output. I won't be explaining much further because Emmanuel already explained a lot in the algorithm design, and also I don't want to exceed the 10 minutes for this video presentation. So I will just go briefly about the source code, how we write it, and the sample output. So first, we have a function here. We only using one function in this program, the grade and value check, which we will get grade and the grade value, and then here's the function definition. Moving on the top there, that's the variable declaration that we use, most of it are array. On the middle there is the title that we use on this program to let the user know what the purpose of this program. And then on the bottom there is we're getting an input for the student name and the student ID from the user. And then here's where we get the score from the user using for loop and array. And then here, if the scores enter is out of range, below 0 or exceed 100, it will show a message. If it's enter a different data type, it's also gonna display an error message and clear the error. And then moving on here, here's the output. Output here will be output the student name first and then the student ID. After that, using the for loop, we'll output all the data that stored. The score of subject, all the CPA, and it will be output here using for loop. And then we will calculate and display the GPA too. And then if there's any subject that fail, which is lower than 50, as Emmanuel explained before, it will also display here. And lastly, on the code, here's the here we ask the user if the user want to continue keying student score or not. If the user don't want to key in anymore, they will enter 1 and the program will end, and a message will say thank you. If not, the program will loop again. Okay, here are the sample output here. The name of the student input is Muhammad Firdaus bin Jaini. The student ID is as shown, and we input all of the score for each of the subject, and then it will be displayed like this. It is easy to read and easy to understand. And then the GPA also will be shown right there, will be displayed. And then there is a fail subject, which is shown here, the math and programming, because the score is below 50. And then the user don't want to key in another student, so they enter 1 and the program end. Okay, the next this is the sample output if the user want to key in another student. So as you can see here, the user input 0, and then the program will loop again and ask the user for the name, for the student ID, and the score for each subject, and will display it again. And then lastly, here's all of the error display. If the user enter the score exceed 100, it will display an arrow out of range and tell the user the score must be between 0 and 100. And then if the user put a score minus lower than 0, it will also do the same thing. And then if the user input invalid data type, for example right here alphabet, it will display an error message and then tell the user the input must only be in integer. That's all for the source code and the sample output. Thank you.